Testing sound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's just me. No worries. Testing sound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Drop your iPhone about 6 inches here. Okay, so we put our global feed to capture. Hopefully that won't disrupt.
No, should be fine.
Thank you. Greg, you want to give a shot and make sure we're good? Do not send this out.
I think that's actually a better shot.
Oh, there it is.
How do you guys do We're good.
We're good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Just destroy the ones in the middle.
Thank you.
I was sitting next to the guard.
So this is the video I got.
Yeah, we were just
But like the best method to show this. He punches the wall with the back goes down. What they got by
Testing, how we sound.
Yep,
Testing, how did we sound?
And look, that guy right there is like, I was
get one chance. And the guy who was on the bottom, just like he saw that, he's like, all right, all time, I'm good. Did you whisper it at the end, or was it just they happened too soon?
Listen, all I know is I don't know if I can hang with Nick no more. He went to the fight. I graduated from going towards fights.
I will be short.
Dude, that's exactly what you don't want to go against.
But no worry. We're in a fight for long now.
They were both drunk.
Because it started with the bigger guy being the peacemaker and trying to help the security guard get him up a little bit.
I don't even know if I would even say that because, like, I was telling him, I was like, he was in his face, like, he needs to go.
Yeah, it was like,
like, yeah.
And then he just like, oh, we gotta go, but you're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, that was like,
nah.
yeah.
Because security let him get up in his girl.
I'm asking, should I
You know what I can do? I think the biggest issue was who fucking sound. That's any other fuck. If you're right, he starts playing and all of a sudden all things goes wrong. Yeah.
No. I know, right? No, yesterday was such a bad, like, trying to find parking. So we're staying in Airbnb.
Like I said, Pittsburgh.
No ideas.
I can see you in a while.
And I'm tired. This is the fight, bro. Yeah.
What size is it? They're probably drunk.
Definitely.
I thought they were like dates. And then that guy was a
Yeah. Oh, no.
Dude, good job on you. You know? This is
He definitely,
smart, man. You know that.
he definitely showing his wife tonight.
I will sweat. It won't be too bad. Yeah, we should. Cool.
Well, are you all set up?
I'm all set up. I'm just, I texted him because he has, you know, to get into the StreamYard, I have to do it through him because I'm on login.
Oh, the Cody, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it on my phone.
Oh, I see.
So I'm dropping you back off.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Honestly, no, it's all good. Honestly, it's not a major draw. My place is
Unless you like go out and then go straight to your flight.
like, I didn't keep my backpack of all my stuff, so I still have to go back to my backups. I should see it.
Well, if your flight works out for you, you have to be there.
I'm gonna check it.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's like all the other people that put over like that. As soon as they I got myself shaking really. Yeah.
I kept seeing you, but I saw you up from that side, so I just noticed it.
I really, for some reason, yes, I nearly murdered myself in the shower.
Yeah. 3 pieces of it.
Well, it's because of the trickle
Yeah.
razor, and I just was like in the shower, and I was trying to go down, but I just kind of went to the side, and I was like, to the bed.
Might be willing to take a 7 a.m. before we get to the
Get extra sleep, and how much are they paying? That's the question.
I know.
How much are they paying? And can you do it then based on your schedule?
Should I take that? Should I try to take it? That's what?
So do you know, I'm going to lie. What if you have to be, if you don't have
I
to
don't
be
pay
here, and you want extra sleep or time to go out and actually enjoy yourself, then that might be an option for you. Unless you want to get the hell out of it, you know, whatever. It's really up to you. And if they pay you, then hell, that's worth it. Pros and cons.
Good options. $250.
Bro, but are you? I do it. But that's the only
Actually,
because I said it.
You know what's funny is that was covered Cassidy. So I'm gonna do it. Take the bid on switching to a loose light.
You got it one day.
Gentlemen. You want me in the middle?
Alright guys, so we're just going to call this with Tony for a few minutes, and then we'll be joined by Jay White momentarily.
Hey guys.
So for Tony, we'll start a few questions, we'll move to Jay, and then we'll take it from there. So first question.
Hey, what's up, Tony Nigeria, Big Oak Media? Now that it's all done, after all the different changes and moving parts that you had to do, how you feeling?
Feeling fantastic. The show was a big success. We had ticket sales here in Chicago of over $1.1 million. I think it'll be within literally thousands. It'll probably be just behind Double or Nothing, but right there, both over 1.1 million. Live ticket sales and the pay-per-view. I said if we hit 100,000 worldwide buys, I would feel it's a big success, and I feel very comfortable now based on the early digital numbers saying we did 100,000 worldwide buys or more, and I feel great about that. That's a big success for a new franchise. We've always had growth on our pay-per-views year over year based on really strong word of mouth and trying to do good TV week to week to build them. And I think even with all the challenges here, the TV's been really strong the last several weeks. I'm really proud of the work we've done. And to be honest, I've never been prouder of how the show has come together. And a lot of it comes to New Japan and their great roster of talent and their great people. For me, being here quarterbacking it, it's been a challenge. And it's probably been, other than the early shutdown, lockdown wrestling of 2020, this is probably the biggest creative challenge I've ever faced. And I think we come through and do a great show. Probably since Double or Nothing 2020, I can't remember being so proud of putting something together that came together so quickly and changed a lot from what it might have originally been. And when we did the first lockdown pay-per-view, so it was pretty special. In that first lockdown pay-per-view, the world title match for AEW was Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee. So I thought it would be a nice moment. We'll get Brody Lee out there at the end with Jon as the interim champion, and that was cool. And Claudio. Eddie, a lot of people close to Brody. Of course, Eddie had already stormed off because he was mad at Claudio and Jon. But that was a real cool night. And just a lot of things came together unexpectedly. But I'm really happy with how it all came together. I'm very grateful to New Japan for working with us. And it's been a great partnership. And I think we can do it many times over.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, here you go. Hey, Tony, so let's talk Cesaro. I kind of want to get some
We're talking
ideas.
Claudio.
Claudio, excuse me, pardon me. So let's talk Claudio Castagnoli in terms of bringing him into AEW, what the process was like for that, and kind of how you feel adding him to the roster.
Well, I'll be honest. It's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. Thank you. So I asked him about coming in actually before I knew for sure that Brian was out, but I had a pretty good idea that Punk would be out, and I could tell there were going to be a lot of changes, and we already had a lot of injured people. I had no idea we'd have even more on the run up to the show, but I just felt like it was actually the day after the forum, so it would have been June 2nd. I called, and I didn't have interest. There was definitely mutual interest, but at that point I felt like there was a good chance. I wasn't sure if it would be here or at another thing that actually I'd be interested to talk to you about in a minute. But I wasn't sure if he would be coming in here or Death Before Dishonor, July 23rd on pay-per-view in Lowell, Massachusetts, Ring of Honor's return event on Bleacher Report, our first Ring of Honor event on Bleacher Report. And I'm very excited about that, and thank you to Bleacher Report and Warner Media for working with us to bring Ring of Honor back to pay-per-view after a very successful return in Supercard of Honor. So I figured there was a chance that if Brian made it back, that there was a good chance that probably he would have started at Supercard, he would have started Death Before Dishonor, and it would have been a great moment there. But I think for the crowd here, this is something very special, and as long as Brian's okay, that's the most important thing, and I think he will be fine. And it was great to have a great moment here at Forbidden Door, so things worked out perfectly, so I was very fortunate. I talked to Brian on the phone last weekend, and he told me he just wasn't feeling 100%. And as soon as he said that, I said, we're 8 days from the pay-per-view, but if you're not feeling 100% today, don't even think about wrestling in the pay-per-view. Don't even think about wrestling in Blood and Guts, because he had been feeling really well. I talked to him in St. Louis on the phone, and he was doing great. And he was so optimistic, and he was like that fired up Bryan Danielson we all know, right? He wanted to go. He was like, I feel great. And he hadn't done anything since Double or Nothing, and he really was optimistic. And then I didn't even want to take another chance as soon as he said that. So he mentioned Claudio, and I said it's funny because I had Claudio on the contract. I hadn't told anybody. You're the first person I mentioned it to. So, but I think that's going to work out real nice for all of us. And you're going to be okay, and he's going to do great. And so it worked out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had the AEW intro much good on last, but we also had the IWGP Championship on the card. So was there a question of what the episode would be? What was it like working that out with Japan? How did you find in general negotiating finishes and who would go over where they're going to get this card?
It's a really good question. I as many times now, but now that it's done, I've equated it to like a submarine movie where there's two missile keys. I think being on site, I think I've been like a captain, but I think I've had people working beside me that have had the same key and they can veto power over stuff. So we put a lot of things in place here and quarterbacked it from here in America. But Ghetto had really valuable input. It's very gratifying to meet him in person because through the pandemic, we built this partnership through our mutual friend, Rocky Romero. Many great wrestlers have come in from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and why don't we pick up from there, and I will introduce you to the IWGP, but when I'll pick up with you and we'll talk at length. Ladies and gentlemen, still the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Jay White.
Tony, doesn't that sound right? Still the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Sounds pretty good.
Jay White, is somebody going to come in and put this up?
Yes. Hey, would one of you guys please assist the champ? Oh, jeez. Look. That's good. Thanks. No, he wants you to put it on the
Look, I couldn't want it. Put in this fucking thing. I'm glad it's so amusing to you, John. But let me just recap what I've been through tonight. Adam Cole, Baby, Cowboy Shit, Hangman Adam Page, Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, I just beat those 3 men. 3 men that I know a lot of you and everybody watching, and I know even this man considered 3 of the best in the world. I just beat those 3 men in the same night at the same time. I can't even get a little hand to put my IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in its fucking holder. My left arm's dead. I just went through a war and I still came out the champion. All I want is just somebody to do that. I'm sorry about that. So I appreciate that. It's nothing personal. But on that note of me beating those 3 at the same time, and I said this before and I'm going to keep saying this, from now on, when you talk about the greats, you make sure you say my name first. Okay. Yeah, please, there's questions. If you have questions.
Hi, Jay. Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc. Congratulations on your victory tonight. Do you want to continue to stick around to AEW, or would you like to take your title back to New Japan Pro Wrestling now? What's your future look like, Jay?
Well, this seems to be a pretty big if, but if we could have someone that when I come here and I successfully defend my IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, if we can have somebody that can, be prepared to put this up here for me, I'll feel a lot more inclined to come by. So I'm very easily pleased. Obviously, I don't ask for a lot. It's just something like that, something like a chair sometimes. So to answer your question, would I like to? I don't know. Or will I? I don't know, because this is how it works. I don't have to tell you anything. I don't have to give away anything. When you're the champion, when you're the guy that single-handedly sells out arenas like Madison Square Garden and United Center, you can kind of do what you want and show up when you want. So stay tuned, I guess.
Jay Colin from Monkey.
I'm sorry. It was nothing. There was nothing personal about this. It's been a big night, and go ahead, buddy.
Jay, leadership of the Bullet Club politics, they seem a little...
It's just that I maybe GP World Heavyweight Champion Grant. It's just, I just wanted a little hand to put that there.
And they say I'm around.
That's it. Question.
You've got the title, but the title of Bullet Club Supreme Leader perhaps seems a little nebulous, maybe more so after the events of tonight. Can you speak on that?
What does nebulous mean?
Unclear, undefined.
Undefined on who would be the best Bullet Club leader? Is that what you're saying?
Perhaps, yes.
Can you tell me how old I am?
You're not 30 yet.
Thank you. That's good enough. Can you list off the championships of one? Can you do that?
The U.S. IWGP title, the World Heavyweight Championship, the previous championship, the IWGP Championship. Several others, I'm sure.
There we go. Intercontinental, IWGP Intercontinental, and then the Never Openweight Championship. That's 5. That makes me the first and only Grand Slam champion in New Japan. Like I said, like you said, not even 30 years old yet. Shit. What's my record against Okada? That's 4-1. What's my record against your guys' favorite Cowboy in singles action? 2-0. Oh, if we add tonight to that, I don't know if we do that or not, that makes it 3-0. So when you're going to talk about best Bullet Club leaders, look at what I have done in such a short amount of time. I haven't even been in wrestling for 10 years yet. And you're going to put a question mark over who the greatest Bullet Club leader is? It's not even just as a Bullet Club leader. I'm the greatest. Full stop. So of course I'm the greatest Bullet Club leader. Any other questions?
Got one more.
Sure, we can keep going.
Jay, there are many stars in AEW that could not compete tonight. Tony already mentioned them, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. Do you have any aspirations of stepping in the ring with names like that?
I don't. I'm sure they have those aspirations because I am the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. So what would be my motivation for going after someone like a Bryan Danielson? CM Punk, fair enough. He has that. Well, he has it for now, but I guess Moxley could, end up taking that from him. So maybe it would be Mox that I would have to, try and sort out a little dance with at some point. But no, I'm not one of these guys, and I say this time and time again. You obviously haven't heard it because you're asking me this question. I don't go out seeking matches, especially any dream matches. That term, it really does make me sick. So that's not something I go out to pursue. Everybody pursues me. Everybody wants to be in the ring with me. Because look what happens. You get in the ring with me and look, it's sold out United States, sold out Madison Square Garden. I'm the man people want me.
Thank you, Jay.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that was great. Thank you. A little bit of a rough start here with that little championship vote, but we looked at it here.
I take partial responsibility.
Hey man, I'm sure you got a lot of things to handle. Yeah, there could have been anybody else here that was sat here doing nothing, and they still didn't want to come and help you.
Sorry
So,
about that. We have
thank you. As always, next time, huh? Thank you.
We're done without that.
Yeah, Jon Moxley coming in.
Great. Might want to keep those two crossing paths. Careful on the way out. He was pretty spicy. Okay. Hey, let me jump back in, AJ, and then I'll get you before Mox comes in, if I can, or I'll definitely get to you. Okay. Hey, so back to that. So it was really a cool experience getting into this together. There's probably nobody who could probably elaborate on it better than the person I've spent hundreds of hours on the phone with, who's standing in the back of the room, who also wrestled his ass off tonight and is a huge reason this came together, and that's Rocky Romero, who he's been the person who's done hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and messages in between myself and Ghetto and with his own ideas, and he's as responsible for this as anybody, and there's no way we would be doing this right now if it wasn't for Rocky Romero, and I just think the world of him, so thank you, Rock. Appreciate you. It's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a pleasure working with him, and we've worked side by side to help, with Rocky here, he's been able to get feedback from me, ideas. So to your question earlier, before Jay White came in and was pretty rude, Steph, it's been a pleasure. It's been a big challenge, I think, on both sides because, there's been injuries and stuff on both sides. When I finally met Ghetto last night, I don't think he'd mind me saying, he came in and he said, I'm sorry about the thing with Romu and some of the challenges. And I said, I'm sorry about CM Punk and Bryan Danielson not being here. But I think it's going to work out great. I think we're going to together have one of our best shows for either company. And I think it was. So I'm really proud of what we did. I'm proud of what they did. And we came together and we had a great night. AEW and New Japan. And again, it wouldn't have been possible without you, Rock. So thanks, man. AJ, the champ's here, but I promise I'm going to get to you, okay? But you guys might have questions for him. Ladies and gentlemen, the interim AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Hand to that. You got it?
Swallow that blood.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we ready? Trying to get a sponsorship with Athletic Brewing, non-alcoholic beer. Delicious. Give me some free shit.
Back there, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, man. Oh, yeah.
Athletic Brewing, beverage of champions. That sounds
Pretty good.
I just mostly just free shit. So you don't even have to pay.
All right. And with that,
Will, first question. First off, Will Washington, Fightful, congratulations, champ, or interim champ, depending on how you want to look at it. John, you once compared your previous win in Chicago at Wintrust Arena in Revolution 2020, when you first won the AEW World Championship, to Christmas morning. And here you are now, walking out of Chicago again, the AEW Interim World Champion. How does this win compare to your previous win in Chicago?
Life is crazy, man. Every time you think, just in general, when you think like the worst thing in the world happened, and then it turns out to be like years later, you look back on it and say, oh, it's the worst thing in disguise. Or the best thing in the world happens, and you think this is a big deal, you're in some relationship, you think you're going to be together forever. It turns out like that was fucking 5 girlfriends before you actually met the one you're going to be together with. Or something like that. Meaning like, and I thought it was a pretty cool deal. Last time I won a championship against Chris Jericho, actually in Chicago too. I thought it seemed at the time like a kind of an end to a particular road or a particular story, but it was just the end of a very particular chapter that was like a bunch of chapters ago. And this feels like the end of a particular journey that I didn't even realize I was on. You know, I thought there was so it's just another end of another chapter. But it feels like this feels pretty good, man. Like, because the other, time it was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty hot and fans are pretty with me, and we're going with this, and I'm gonna win the belt. That's pretty cool, that always feels nice. This feels like this feels like I fucking scratched and clawed and fucking fought, and not just in the wrestling ring, but in a lot of other areas of life. And this truly does feel like 3 years of fucking work in the ring, outside the ring, in a bunch of different ways, in a bunch of different areas that all seem like somehow all led up to this that we didn't see coming. Fucking 3 weeks ago or some shit. I don't even know if I was on a fucking card, now in the main event. Probably. Yeah, motherfucker wasn't gonna put me on a card. I am the fucking Forbidden Door and shit. Motherfucker wasn't gonna put me on a card.
You were definitely.
Well, I was on the card. No, but like, that's another thing. Is like, as soon as it was like, okay, main event against Tanahashi, I was like, of course I am. Yeah, of course. It was supposed to be like the whole time. That was my match. This is my shit, And I love fucking AEW. I love New Japan. I love professional wrestling, but I love both. And I'm so happy just to, even if I wasn't on that show tonight, it would have been cool to just sit back and go and be like, that's really cool that they were able to have a show together. Because it wasn't quite that. There wasn't as much communication as Tony would tell you like a few years ago. But I thought that was stupid. And I'm like, these people are cool, and these people are cool. Let's all just can't we just, have some communication? So like if next year, I don't even need to be on if we do Forbidden Door next year, I don't even need to be on a show. I'll never top this. This is just that it happened and be the main event. It's just, that in itself is crazy, man. Able to pull this together. Man, and credit to Tony, I'm not just saying that because he's sitting here. It's really easy to fantasy book, like you're reading a PWI in 1998, and it's WWF versus WCW, and go, okay, so we're going to have Goldberg versus Austin, Rock versus Sting. And that's really easy to do, but to actually pull off a show like that, 2 companies, and put a card together and make it all work, timing and booking and travel and injury-wise, and injuries, Ishii and stuff, to make all that action, to actually pull that off in reality and pull off a show like was pulled off tonight, it's a huge credit to both sides. It's, just credit all around for, my job was easy, everybody else pulled off an incredible show tonight. And to say, said it out there to the fans, you. Man, I'm so so fortunate to be here to witness this crazy momentous occasion, with all these. In this building, you see Michael Jordan play basketball. I'm sure is that right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are fans watching Michael Jordan play basketball going we have seen something really special, and we're gonna be able to say we saw Jordan live in person in his prime. And how many fans got to see Tanahashi live in person today? And Okada, and Suzuki, not even to mention all the great AEW talents, so this is cool, man. It's pretty cool. So to answer your question, everything's pretty fucking cool.
Got time for a couple more for Jim. Hi, John. Steve Hausman from the Zone, and fantastic match tonight. And What's going on, Tony? How are you? Did the match, this is a match you've thought about for a long time. Did it live up to your own expectations?
Oh man, it's just a freaking pleasure to share the ring with, you know, just one of the absolute greatest in Tanahashi. I mean, like, it sounds real, like a generic answer, but just like what a pleasure. Just like, it's hard to really put it in words too. Like my partner, Brian Danielson, put this much better than me. He's like, you know, the feeling that, you know, I think we're wired similarly. And like the feeling is always chasing. It's like that feeling of being in the ring and like when you're doing what you feel like you were put on earth to do, like the absolute pleasure of just being dialed in, doing like what you were here to do. And like the pleasure of just like wrestling, man. I've had it taken away from me for various reasons, you know, be it without, you know, really getting into, for whatever, you know, either I was hurt or I was in a place that, you know, the situation wasn't optimal or my life at the time wasn't optimal and I couldn't just enjoy wrestling. And it's like, it's such a, what a freaky thing. I was thinking that the other night, I was wrestling the show, a few hundred people in Dayton, Ohio. Drove up, great crowd, great show, great match, and was these people like for a revolver, and just had this great match, great crowd, whatever. Got in the truck afterward, was just driving home. It was just like in such a good. It was going home to my wife and my baby, and like my baby's turning 1, having my birthday the next day. It was just like drinking one of these, you know, and enjoying listening to UFC playing at the time. Fuck yeah. And I was just like in such a state of joy. You know, just like there's no money or ratings or any bullshit. Like just the act of wrestling that I get to do it. You know, and it was just so like I was just like, man, and like, and I was thinking like, there's like no fucking drug, and I've tried them all. There's no drug, man. I can compare it to this, you know, and I get to keep doing this every day, you know. Just keep. So to answer your question, fuck yeah, what a feeling to just be out there, like with Tanahashi, like, you know. But there was a lot of fucking pressure. I tried to be like, it's all good, like, you know, pretty good at handling that kind of thing now. Like, kind of been right now, like, and my confidence is such right now. I'm feeling pretty fucking untouchable right now. Everything just seems to be all coming together, all right at the right time. And, I mean, like, you gotta replace, you know, being a hometown guy in his hometown, you know, that's, you know, people get to see the hometown guy and you're not the hometown guy. And you gotta go in there against maybe the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time, and be the main event of, like, this amazing show, and you gotta follow all of these just top of the line. And you're like, what a tough spot to be in, you know? And my dumbass out there, like, really? I'm in this fucking spot? Like, I don't know. You know, I'm not all that strong or all that fast, and I can't do any flips and bullshit, but I tried really hard, you know? And that's what I did tonight. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was pretty good.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, can we get AJ? AJ has one for the champ. AJ, you get John. You're the last guy. You earned it.
First off, my name's AJ from the AJ Awesome Show.
Okay.
With the Backroom Combat Club having new member after new member, like Wheeler Yuta and Claudio, how has it affected your career in a good, in a positive way, or a negative
it's the best thing. Like, that's another thing. It's just like this Blackpool Combat Club came together and just like this perfect time, and it's just so good for me. And like, it just fits so perfect. And like, for instance, Claudio. I mean, it wasn't even a question of like he's basically already, because it's a real thing, you know. It's not this act we're putting on, you know. He's a real student of Regal, and he's a real training partner of mine. Former training partner for years. We were in developmental together. We traveled together a lot. You know, I said like, hey, you know, said something was about like, hey, you gotta plead together if you're gonna be on my team. I've wrestled Claudio a million times. I have busted him open on multiple occasions. You can go back and watch that shit on Peacock. I knocked his fucking teeth right down his throat. He wore adult braces for 2 years. You know, so we've been there. We've been down the road together. You know, I mean, he's like legitimately like part of the group. And like to have that, like I want to keep getting better. Like I feel like right now is also like the jumping off point. Like I can't. Like this feels like the baseline I've been trying to get to, what I've been picturing in my mind for like 3 years. And it's all starting to kind of become reality. And this is like, so here's the baseline starting off. Imagine how good it could get. And I'm surrounded by guys, you know, I love to train, I love to learn, I love to get better. Try a little, you know, try stuff out. I love helping other guys too. So like Wheeler is like a young guy who's more talented than me to use my brain and experience and try to help him get better. And he's a great dude. Otherwise he wouldn't be in the group. You know, we don't like, you know, my assholes in the group. And to have a dude like that, to be able to help him, but also have him push me because he's, you know, young and hungry and all that. But also like that Regal who doesn't let anything slide. If I, you know, talked to him after this match, he had like 2 or 3 little things that I could have done better, you know? No congratulations or whatever, no, hey, way to win the belt. No, it was like, you know, you could have done like 3 or 4 things. But I like that, I want, you know, I get plenty of congratulations. I don't need that shit, I need help get better. And so he doesn't let anything slide. He keeps me sharp and helps me get better. And having Claudio and Brian, who are like 2 of the greatest, you know, I mean, Brian in my book, Brian Danielson is the greatest, you know, people say like, Tanahashi is one of the greatest ever, you know, Jericho's the GOAT, they say all this, you know, just for my money, in my opinion, the greatest professional wrestler to ever live, to ever do it in the ring is Brian Danielson. And it's crazy because he's my partner. I get to like tag team with him, you know, and also he's one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Like my legit, like on my top list of like 2 or 3, 4, whatever. Like he's in that group of like, oh, my favorite wrestlers to watch ever. And it's almost like there's 2 different. There's like one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, Brian Danielson, who's like right up there with my all-time favorites, like Bret Hart and stuff. And then there's like Brian, my friend, who's like all eco-friendly and shit, you know. And, you know, he's like a good father and all this, and, you know, we have similar interests with God and whatever. It's almost like 2 separate people. And sometimes like I don't like pinch myself out of it. Like I get to team with one of my favorite wrestlers all the time. That's pretty cool, man. So I mean, if there's ever a guy that's gonna push you and make you better, like you can't slack off when you're teaming with a guy that good. You know, you gotta. It pushes me. I want to like be like, oh, I can keep up with Brian. You know, I'm pretty good too sometimes. You know, so it makes me want to push myself. And then Claudio, who is just as a physical. I mean, I'm convinced he's an alien. Like, there's no way that he's like that strong, that fast, and also he's smart, and he's nice, and he speaks 4 languages, and he's got this perfect, crazy superhero body, and like, there's no way. He's like, it's crazy that he's just his ability in the ring is so good, just one of the most perfect professional wrestlers that ever exist. So I got him pushing me, And we legit like training and now to have Claudio here every week to be in the ring with him before the show or in the gym or whatever, working on stuff like. I think we're all gonna push each other and make each other better. I think a year from now, guys in the Blackpool Combat Club, like holy shit. So like with those guys on my side, to answer your question, I think it's gonna be tremendous help to making me hopefully better and reach another level. It's cool, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
How do we get I would like to see, because this is last year, check it out. There's some fantasy. 6 months out. We got 3 dudes over here. It's Darby Allin. That's how do we make it happen?
I don't know. You got to talk to the guys in the back. That's different. You're lucky they like you so much in New Japan. If I said that, I'd be hot. I don't know. I think he works for the LA. He works for. Is he like the president of
Somebody make a
Noah?
call.
Is he not the president of Noah? I think he's the president of Noah. I don't know if that's.
Everybody would love to see that. Dino would love to see that. Who would love to see that?
That could be good. I don't know. I don't see it. Well, I think maybe some people will want to see it.
That's pretty sick.
So one guy who can get away with that. Like,
Maybe
there's one human.
who's trying to make it happen. Also, maybe. Also, Eddie Kingston would like to fight Jun Akiyama.
I would like to do that.
Where do we do
that?
that?
I can do that. That'll do that. Do that.
Akiyama. Hey, Eddie Kingston's looking for you, my friend. And if you want to bring Sakuraba too, maybe I'll go with him.
That'll be explored.
Yeah. But most importantly, Jun Akiyama. And he's looking for you.
Thanks, man.
Hey, we gotta make stuff happen.
Yeah, you
Gotta
did.
put it out.
Only one guy can do that. That was great. That was great. Thanks, Jim. That was awesome. Let's hear it for the champ. Thank you, John. Hey! Oh, my good friend. Thank you very much. Thank you. Chris, you want to sit over here? Okay. First question.
Okada, Rich Fan Pro Wrestling Torch. Just want to say welcome. And if we can get your thoughts on wrestling in the four-way, I believe that's the first time you wrestled in the four-way for the NJPW title. And so your feelings on that and the crowd tonight.
本日フォーウェイマッチだったんだけど、そういうちょっと試合をフル回転に行っていたと、普通のタイトルマッチとしてフォーウェイなんですが、それはいかがですか？
まず最初に、こういう舞台を用意してくれたトニカ社長もそうですし、AEW の皆さん、AEW のファンの皆さんにですね、本当にセンキューマッチと伝えたいですし、フォーウェイマッチ、初めてでした。3way は昔やったことあったんですけど、フォーウェイマッチ初めてで、自分のね、やっぱ思うようにいかなかったですし、J. ホワイトに全て持っていかれたんじゃないか、J のうまさが、強さが目立った試合だったのかなと思います。
Yes, so first of all, thank you very much to Tony Khan, all the great people here in All Elite Wrestling for the opportunity here today. This was indeed his first four-way. He'd been in three-ways before, but the first time in a four-way. Unfortunately, it didn't go quite the way that Ricardo had intended, and that, well, says a lot about how good Jay White is and how well planned everything that he did in the ring was here tonight, unfortunately.
Hi, my name is Nick Hausman with WrestlingInc.com. Thank you so much for coming over and putting on such a great match tonight. I just want to know, how different is it for you performing in this kind of environment? Does the reaction to the crowd throw you at all? I mean, do you find it to be dramatically different than when you perform over in Japan?
まず聞いてくれてありがとうございます。素晴らしい試合あと声援ある大きい会場ですし、なんかそれちょっと驚きましたか？それともちょっとなりにくかった？
でもやっぱり驚きましたし、すごい嬉しかったです。やっぱりあれだけのお客さんの中で、歓声もありましたし、これが、日本のプロレスの目指していくとこだと思いますし、いろいろ日本はまだ制限が続いてますけれども、そこに向かってしっかりと、日本は日本のやり方があると思いますので、また声が出せるように、あんだけのお客さんが集まってもらえるように、僕たちしっかりと戦っていくべきかなと思います。
Yeah, so obviously very, very happy to have to perform in front of a whole crowd, and it's more of a pleasant, it's a happy feeling rather than a surprise. Really, America is sort of setting the model for how we'd love to be performing in front of our crowds in Japan as well. Obviously, Japan will do it their own way, and it's a softly approach, and we'll get there. But hopefully, people will see this here tonight and sort of take those little steps and a little step forward to being the way that we want to wrestle.
Thank you.
Hi, Nigeria Chambers, Big Gold Belt Media. Now, there's no doubt you're one of the biggest global stars in all of professional wrestling. But I am very curious to know, what was your reaction when Tony Khan made the call and wanted you to come over here for AEW, not only for here, but for Dynamite as well?
もちろんマダルカシコは世界中知名度が高いんですけども、トニー・カーン社長が電話してくれて、岡田選手に出てください。それを聞いたらどういう感じですか？
そうですね。やっぱり今日 AEW と戦って、こんだけの傷がつくぐらいの強い選手でしたし、まだ戦ってない選手もいるので、やっぱりそういう選手ともまた戦いたいと思いますし、でも僕やっぱ子供の頃にドアを開けたらやっぱ閉めなさいっていう母親に言われているので、それをやっぱしっかりと母親の言いつけを守ろうかなと思いますね。
Okay, so yeah, obviously you can see the physical evidence on Carter's face of how tough some of the AEW wrestlers are, and there's plenty of other AEW wrestlers that Carter would like to compete against. But his mom would always say, if you leave the door open, if you live in a barn, you have to shut it. And Okada has to be the one to do that at some point.
Got time for a few more? John,
first off, great match tonight. With there being a language barrier in the ring, with some of the people in the ring speaking English and you speaking Japanese, how does that affect the match?
ラングエージバリアというか、レフェリーなどは英語だったし、それはちょっとやりにくいですか？
でも、プロレスはもう言語もない戦いだと思うので、もう言語は関係ないですし、リング上で戦うだけなので、英語は何も問題ないのかなと思います。僕も、メイク、エイト、レインというのを知ってるんで、その3つさえ分かれば問題ないのかなと思います。
Yeah, professional wrestling is really a universal language, and once you get there, it's all about the physicality of what happens in the ring. So really, there isn't any particular need to speak any specific language, as long as Okada knows how to say make it rain, then that's all that matters.
Last question.
Stephen Milhausen here from the Zone and Cassidy, great match tonight. And you talk about wanting to face other AEW wrestlers. What other AEW wrestlers really pique your interest?
戦いたいの AEW 選手はなんかもし名前を今出したら誰？トニー・カーン？
僕が出すよりもやっぱりこうファンの皆さんにいろいろ想像してもらった方がやっぱこのプロレスっていうのは楽しくなると思うので、あえて僕は口に出さずに皆さんがなんとなく岡田はこの人と戦いたいんじゃないかなと思ってほしいです。そっちの方がなんか楽しいと思います。
Yeah, so I mean, apart from maybe Tony versus Okada, that's a great match that's short enough. The joy of professional wrestling is this two-way communication with the audience, and That's for the fans to decide and start to clamor for and start to whip up encouragement for and speculate. And that's what the fun is for all of you guys and for us as well. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, 18 times. I just got 18. That was the 18th time he told me the Manchester City
yeah.
was. Oh no.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have Claudio would like to express some thoughts, and then we'll have time for one question for Claudio. So, Claudio, the floor is yours, and we'll take a question from right over here.
Table is mine. Sure.
Claudio, pleasure to see you back in the ring. A lot of fans excited for it. Kevin Kalmus, sportsmedia.com. What was the motivating factor for you to make this leap to all elite wrestling?
How long do I have to answer that?
As long as you
sometimes the stars align for a perfect moment, and that's what happened tonight. I hope Brian's right. I know Brian will be back, but it's just perfect fit. I just talked to Mox. We've been going back for 10, 12 years, known him so a long time. We used to ride together, we used to work out together, we still do, we talk, it just fits, and at the end of the day, I'm always looking for new challenges. And in AEW, it's like I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Got time for one more question.
Awesome. Welcome to AEW, Claudio. Now that you're here, not looking backwards, looking forwards, like you said, you're a kid in the candy shop now. There are a lot of people in AEW that the fans would like to see you mix it up with. Now, you don't have to give us one name, but is there a short list of people that you in particular are excited to get to share the ring with?
I was so excited to share the ring tonight with Zack Sabre Jr. I wrestled him last time in 2009. There's so many guys that I just known for years. Orange Cassidy, for example, is one of them. I'm talking about the one that yells and screams all the time like a little kid. It's just, to me, what is most important is fans are excited. Who do you want to see me wrestle next? That to me was always the important thing. Like, who's my dream opponent? Like, I don't care. Who do you guys want to see me wrestle, right? And here in AEW, all that stuff can happen. Because people are hurt. Last time I wrestled Kenny Omega, I was in Ring of Honor in probably 2008. I think we've grown a lot since then. So, that's just worth a mention. You know what I mean? But then, I can just name literally everybody I just run into in the locker rooms and backstage. Again, I can probably give you a short list of who I don't want to step in the ring with.
I'd like that list too.
And that is nobody. So, you know what I mean? So to me, it's like I said, I'm a kid in a candy store, and when you go shopping and they tell you, pick whatever, and you're just there and you're like, I don't know what to pick. I just come in here and I don't know if you can tell, I'm very happy. And it fits. This is my first night. And I told this to a bunch of people. This is my first night here. I feel like it's been here for years. It's just like, it just fits. It's awesome.
How about one more question for Claudio?
I would point out to everybody that we are, I think, about 69 hours from Blood and Guts, roughly. We are approaching your thank you. Yeah, you have a quick turnaround, and there's not a lot of time, so if anybody does have a question pertaining to Wednesday night, also you have a pretty big match coming up for your Dynamite debut, which I'm very excited about.
So here's the other thing, right? We always look for a challenge. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. on Sunday, then Blood and Guts on Wednesday. That's a challenge. That's awesome. And to me, the Blood and Guts, that's like the staple, right? And like to be thrown right in there with, my friends, with Ops, Buddha. It's just, it's amazing. And to me, that's what gets you up in the morning, right? That's what makes you work out every day. That's what makes me tick. So I can't wait. It's awesome. And what I love is that show is free TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, wait, you get that free TV? It's awesome. So it's like, to me, that's, get the candy store.
It's great. We're excited to have you on Wednesday night on TBS, and you saved one of our biggest events we've ever had tonight, and now you're going to save us again on Wednesday, and I think we're all excited to see you on that.
If you have a problem, you don't know who else to call. What is the A-Team slogan, right? You call the Swissman. So.
Is there anything else? Okay, well, we said they really appreciate you coming in and not just doing the press conference, but also being here tonight. It means a lot.
No, thanks. Glad to be here, and I'm super excited for Wednesday, Blood and Guts, and I'm super excited for the Wednesday after that, and the Wednesday after that, and the Wednesday after that, and hell yeah. Claudio is all elite. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Claudio. Thanks a lot.
The hot tag. Congratulations, Jay. Let's go.
I guess this is for this, right?
That is what that's for. Thank you. See, it's not that it's very. I'm like other champions who had trouble working that. It's not that right.
Okay, we got a question right here.
Yeah.
Thunder JD from Office Reps. Nice to see you. Tony, thank you. Two incredible matches back to back. One with Tony Storm tonight. I know everybody's saying, with all the rumors circulating, who's coming here, when they're coming here. I'm not here for that. I know the division you want to build. So after these two great matches, where do you want to take this division and this title?
Well, as I said it before, I would love to be a travel champion, and as you guys know, it was announced that I will be going to Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling pretty soon in July. So I don't know what the future is gonna hold for me in this aspect, but if there's an opportunity to defend the championship or have anybody come from somewhere else, I think Tony will make it happen. And I know what you're saying, because last week also Taya Valkyrie called me out for AAA for the championship of Reina de Reinas. So I will take anybody, anytime, anywhere. Plain and simple.
Hi, I'm Rich Fan Pro Wrestling Torch. We started the match, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about the influence of Dustin Rhodes and how he's kind of helped you keep going on.
He's been with me from day one. The first day that I came here as a non-signed talent, he came in and he's like, he saw something in me. He's like, you just got it, girl. Like, you're gonna make a huge change in this division. And he just took me under his wing, and we became really close. I just talked to him like 20 minutes ago, and I was like, just remember, I'm your wrestling daughter, so you're screwed. So he's been very kind to like allow me to use some of his moves now. And as you guys saw today, I did his finisher. So I was like very, very humbled that he allowed me to do this now. And I owe him a lot, because he every night before I wrestle, he always reminds me that I am the best and that I should believe in myself all the time. And he believes in me too. So that says a lot from somebody like him.
First off, great match tonight.
Thank you.
With all the different gear designs and makeup that you've done to the ring, how do you decide what to do on which day?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. So I've been working on this gear for probably about a year. I always tell Tony, I'm like, I'm gonna top the next year, on the next February, and I'm gonna top the next one. So it has to do with culture, sometimes it has to do with cosplay, I'm just very creative all the time, and I like to create new stuff. But this one is specific. I really wanted to go for the Aztec Warrior because, like, you guys know I have a tattoo on the side of my leg, and that's an Aztec Warrior with like MMA gloves, like everything at the same time. So I don't know. Like I'm already working on the next one. I still don't know what it's gonna be, but I like to keep it very interesting, and also because I would like to have all of the toys, right? So I would like to have different special action figures for each cool design. So, you know, isn't it a nice way to make some extra money?
There were only a couple times I remember coming to you and saying, like, I felt real strong, and two in particular were the original St. Patrick's Day Slam.
Yes.
That I felt really strong that if you went out and wore green, we could do something really iconic. And from the beginning, we set out to do something really special there, and we did. And then we went back this year to the St. Patrick's Day Slam and at the rematch in the cage with Britt for the championship. And again, I felt really strong having her green again.
Yes.
And I think you do a great job in the designs, but on the St. Patrick's Day Slams, I think you've also been 2 year very iconic appearances. So that's I just think you do it great with it, but also some of them have been associated with big events too.
Thunder Rosa, there's another champion in AEW, very outspoken, Jade Cargill, the TNA Women's Champion. She's been saying a lot of things in all different directions in AEW. Some say that she doesn't have the place to say those things. You have a championship. How do you feel about that?
Well, I let her do her thing. You know, she likes to run her mouth. I let her run her mouth. You know, we were raised and brought up in different styles and in different places. She was blessed that she was right there at the right place at the right time. Kind of like me, but, you know, with less time because I have to, like, do a lot of stuff in movies. So if she feels inclined to say what she needs to say, that's fine. Everybody has their own opinion. You know, I respect her. Again, I've said it multiple times. Every time she has stepped in the ring, she has brought something new. She's always working, and, you know, if she feels very inclined to go after people, she's gonna do whatever she wants, right? As long as she doesn't get personal with me, I don't have a problem with her. But as soon as she starts getting personal, then we have a problem.
Final question.
Oh, Thunder? Okay, so first of all, I want to know, you know, we waited for such a long time for you to actually become champion, and you finally got this moment, and it was so awesome, so grand. And so I want to ask you, now that you've been champion for quite some time, what would you say is that thing that you have learned about yourself now that you're champion and that you held the belt?
Wow, it's actually, I saw it on Twitter, it's 100 days. So it just went by fast. Like, I just remember St. Patrick's Day, and it was a very special moment. I think it's an uphill battle with yourself. As a champion, you're not only representing the division, but you're also representing the company, right? So it's been quite a journey, and I think I want to thank Tony and Mega for literally holding my hand at some points, because it's been rough, and they always have a lot of support. And when I have always a need of something, they've always been there for me. And when you have support like that, it really means a lot, because you know, moving the curtain a little bit, we all suffer from, you know, different things, family issues, or just like we face a lot of struggles that people don't know. But when you have people like that care for you, not only they help you become a better champion, but they also help you become a better person. And honestly, I can tell you in the last month, they've been such a support for me. And I am very thankful to the AEW family, because they have allowed me to be me, and they have allowed me to accept myself for who I am and present that to the world. Because Tony's never said anything, no, you can't do that, Melissa, or hey, Thunder, you can't. He's always allowed me to be myself. And I think for a lot of people that have been in the business, they can't say that, you know. So I'm really thankful, Tony, and you know that you have changed the life not only in my family, but the life of a lot of women that are, you know, working with me. And because of what I'm doing right now, I'm allowed to help them, you know, get where they want to be. So I
thank you, Jane. Thanks, Jane.
So we're going to have FTR is going to join Tony for the last talent of the night, about 10-15 minutes, so then Tony will wrap it up for another 10 or 15 or so. So we'll try to close around at 12:30.
Uh-oh. They're carrying in a lot of weight.
You're gonna need more.
Hey, John, you're gonna need some more multiple guys. Much more mature than Jay White. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to put the IWGP boys up here, maybe I can carry all these. I'll these here for you. I'll hand these off to you boys. And then put the IWGP. Can we give these guys a hand? Put the IWGP.
A couple hands.
Yeah, one hand. That kind of hand too.
It's not easy having all these goals, guys. So let's fucking go. Got all of these, huh?
Yeah.
From over here.
Hey, congratulations, first of all. So you're holding the IWGP belts. Are you going to defend them, and are you willing to defend them overseas?
No, we're not going to defend them. We're going to lose our style.
The whole dream for us was to come to AEW, to do New Japan, to be AEW champions, to be IWGP heavyweight tag team champions. And the pandemic kind of, slowed that down for a while. And now things are opening back up. We're getting back out here. Travel is becoming way more easy and accessible for everybody. And yeah, we'll go kick some ass in New Japan.
I think ultimately, the reason we came here is because we fucking love wrestling. I mean, I've said it a million times before, but what I perceive to be God and my wife and daughter in professional wrestling, that's all I've got in my life. And so for me to be able to write down beside my best friend, for me to be able to write our names beside the greatest tag teams of all time in American history, like the Arns and Tulleys and the Midnight Express and the Hart Foundation and Bulldogs. Now we get to go to Japan and write our names beside the guys like Bigelow and Vader and Hase and Muda and the Steiner brothers, and and to be able to do that around the globe, that's pretty cool, and that's what we want to do in life and in wrestling too.
Hey guys, Rich Man Pro Wrestling Torch. My question is, you both have spoken publicly about the struggles it took to get to this point, and you seem to be missing one set of tag titles. So first, how does it feel to be where you are now in your journey? And then second, when are you going to start to make that approach to the league and
So as we walk up here, you see we're not the prototypical professional wrestlers. We're barely scratching the surface at 5'10". We don't have the greatest bodies in the world. I have a completely authentic Southern accent, and so we're fighting every single obstacle in the realm of what we perceive to be mainstream professional wrestling. And so for us to be able to overcome every single obstacle and be able to be in this position where we're at right now in AEW, to hold these 3 championships, and to possibly be able to fight for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, there's nothing better than that. So we're proud, very proud of where we come from. And I think sometimes fans, some of the fans, not all, not even most of them, but some of the fans can say, "Oh, you should just sit back and collect your checks and stop complaining." But if I stop complaining, man, I can't go home to my 8-year-old daughter and say, "You can be whatever you want." I can't go home to my 8-year-old daughter and say, "You can be the first woman president." You know what I mean? Because if I sit back and just collect the check, then I'm lying to her. Because I'm working hard for her, so she knows that when Daddy leaves every single week, he's going to work so he can take care of Mama and her. You know what I mean? And I've overcome those obstacles to show her that if I can make it here, with fucking hell, man, she can do whatever she wants. Because she's way smarter than me, she's way nicer than me, she's way prettier than me, she's so much of a better person than I am. And now I'm able to do this with my best friend and the fuck. Listen, I've worked and I'm not even kidding. This is a complete shoot. I have worked on a septic tank truck where I have human shit every single day. I have worked at Taco Bell where I have put almost human shit on tortillas. I serve them every single day. I've done every single job possible because I grew up poor. And I've worked for every single person in the world. And I'm not even saying this because sometimes we have our differences.
I've never worked for a better human being who cares about me and my family as people in this. And so now I get to do that here, and on top of that, take care of my wife, and on top of that, get to take care of my daughter, and on top of that, get to say, hey, you are a woman, and you can do whatever the hell you want to do because Daddy's doing it, and you're way better than I am. Fuck, that's the ultimate, you know.
We've both been doing this over half of our lives at this point. And for the past 8 years, I didn't know where it was going to go, but we've said to anybody that would listen that we were going to be the best tag team that's ever done this. And for a long time, people laughed at us and thought that we were just these overconfident, undersized, non-bodybuilders that had this inflated ego. And it wasn't. We just wanted to manifest something. We wanted people to believe what we believe. And if I didn't believe the shit that we said, then I never would have made it here. And I don't just say that wrestling gave us the life that we have. It saved my life. And I'll say that every single day. Like, I came from absolute shit. Like, if it wasn't for this, I don't know where I would be, but I know it wouldn't be good. And so to have these, to have this, be the longest reigning number one contenders in AEW Tag Team Championship history, that means a lot to me.
You're not from him. I'm saying that.
I said it means a lot to me. But yeah, we've already been to AEW Tag Team Champions once, and we just got a little small taste of that. And I don't like not having what I perceive to be an FTR run. And when we come out here and we win the AEW Tag Team titles, and we will win them, and we go on a 2-year run, and then we lose our smiles and retire, then we'll say, yeah, we've done it. We're the best ever doing it.
Just kidding, bro.
I'm not.
Got a question here. Chris Wolfer from the Zone News. In recent weeks, we've seen outstanding singles matches from the both of you, really good matches. Is that a brief look into both your guys' futures, away from all your tag team achievements? Is it something you'd both like to do?
I won't speak for Jack, but for me, I think we're just really good wrestlers in general, singles or tag. And it's, we're unbiased, great professional wrestlers. Dax has always been one of these guys that has eat, slept, and breathed professional wrestling to a point that it can be unhealthy at times. But like I said, we work for a guy who lets us be human, lets us be assholes, lets us have our bad days. But at the end of those days, we get to come out here, and whether it's singles, whether it's tag, we get to put on the best version of what we do. And I think that just elevates us completely in everybody's eyes. And I don't want to be a tag team guy or a singles guy. I always want to be a tag team guy. But if we do singles matches, we're going to kill it. If we do tag team matches, we're going to kill it. If you do anything, we're going to kill it.
So as a kid, I mean a little kid. I mean, June 13th, maybe it was 23rd, 1993 is when I decided I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And I remember praying every single night that God would either allow me to be WCW, ECW, or the other place in New Jersey. I remember walking to my friend's house, and there were this long stretch of bushes, and I would fake like I was tagging their hands. And I was hoping, I was like, I hope all these leaves become my fans. Okay? That's what I wanted. That's all I've ever wanted, was to be the best possible professional wrestler in the world. Right now, I want to be the best in the world. And when I retire, I want them to say he was the best ever. But if they don't, that's okay. Because at least I tried. At least that's what I strive for. That's what I tried to make happen. As far as the singles matches, I'm just very fortunate that Tony has trusted me, trusted both of us into having that, into being able to deliver those matches. But we're on the back end of our career, and we've built a legacy, and we're continuing to build a legacy in tag team wrestling. So why would I start over now as a singles wrestler and build from that? If the opportunity comes up and he gets injured or something, then yeah, I gotta feed my family, so I'll do it. But ultimately, I just want to do good for professional wrestling, and I think doing good for professional wrestling right now is to continue to write our legacy.
Dave, how do you remember that date, June 13th, June 23rd? What's that date?
It's King of the Ring 1993. King of the Ring.
Okay, that's great.
There was a guy that
the Nutter
three matches that night won the inaugural King of the Ring. I can't remember his name. Right?
That's great. That's what it is. That's great.
Will Washington, Fightful. Yes. Good. So the last couple of weeks, this past Wednesday and tonight, you guys have received some of what I call the biggest bombs you guys have ever had. And a big factor in that is, of course, you guys being one of the best tag teams out there. But
dude, sorry, rewind. Don't say one. Come on. At least lie to us right here in front of us.
Okay. But another factor in that has been the change in theme music, which I think last fall a lot of people were a little bit skeptical of, but I would say today, across the board, people have called one of the best themes out there. I've been in crowds where I've seen people go nuts over it, dancing in the stands. How do you guys feel like the music has affected your guys' presentation and you guys?
Yeah, the only person we got to thank for that is Tony. I mean, that was his call, and he called us in his office. He was so excited. He was like, "You guys have to listen to this." And we listened to it, and I can't lie to you. At first, I was like, "Oh my God, that's not what we're used to." You know, we're used to being these badass guys who like come out and fight and stuff. But it sounds like I'm kissing his butt. I promise I'm not.
This is the most that you've ever done it.
To your face. But that's the thing is like, what they don't understand, what no one understands is, God dang, like the word genius gets thrown around, but he really is freaking smart when it comes to wrestling. I mean, in life in general, he's smart. But like,
no, the first part means more coming from you. That means a lot coming from you, especially considering who I pulled the music from. You probably wouldn't be the first to say.
Well, no.
But I grew up on it.
This is good. But he really is, like I can think of tackle, drop down, leapfrog, and lock up and stuff like that. But he can think broader than that. And sometimes it makes me mad, you know, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be the smart, the professional. I'm supposed to be a professional. And he takes it to another level. And so he played this music for us, and he was so hyped, and it was cool music. I was like, I don't know if that's us. Damn, it's not us. And that, yeah, you're right. That has helped our crowd. I think like our rainbow attire and like what we want to present out there. I think his mullet and my mustache. And I also think the style of wrestling we bring to. I think it all just came together at once, and the universe provided it for us. And I think it's manifested itself into making us some pretty good baby faces.
I think 99% of it's just the two of you guys, and less than 1% of it is that. And another piece of it that is, 99% of it is down to the two of you, but one person who's not here tonight. But I've seen you become a more confident and better wrestler since CM Punk went through that door. I've seen you both take it to another level as his partner and backstage and talking to him. And I've watched you get more switched on, and I've watched you take it from being one of the best wrestlers in the world, the true, like on from the highest platform to somehow an even higher platform. And the two of you guys have taken it to another level. And particularly, I've watched you get mentally switched on in a totally different way. And Dan, you've always been there, and as a team, you've always been there. But now you have a third guy with you, and it's really strong. It would have been a very different build to this pay-per-view. We still had one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of in my life. But I think, like I said, 99% of it's down to you guys, and then there's all these other factors, music, and I think Phil has been a very positive influence on both of you.
I think just to kind of sum it all up is that there was nothing like, there wasn't a roadmap to how we were going to get here. We all just, David and I decided we wanted to just make as much fun as we could with the rest of what we're going to be doing, because we don't know how long we're going to be doing this. And that kind of started the snowball. And then just small things here and there, Punk's arrival, Tony having this idea to switch to music. And like, when I heard the music, I loved it, but I go straight to my mind. I'm like, how do I walk out to this? And I'm trying to picture it. I'm like, it's great music, but I don't know how to beat this. But you don't have to now. Like, it's just kind of one of those things where you hit it, and like everybody's kind of moves however they feel individually. And like, it's just been one of those things where everything just kind of fallen into place, and it's been so serendipitous that it's almost comical, but it has. Like, it's peaked to right here. Like, this has kind of all just been one wild and crazy coincidence.
Dean drove me over here today, and Dean and I were sitting in the car, and I was sitting in shotgun, and I played it on my phone in the car with him. And I showed him a tweak I made, like, because if you the track, I think that's on iTunes, there's like a cut about 45 seconds in, because there's like Mikey had it go up with like a little interlude between the kind of what I call the hook, and like it kind of goes up and then it goes back down. And I was like, on TV, I don't have 4 seconds, Mikey. You gotta go right back to it. And so the TV version, I think there's like a 4. But I love it so much, and it was just one of those things. One day, it was just a light bulb, and I was like, "This is what we need. This is what we need." The frogs. This is what the frogs. Just real quick, when he called us into his office, like I said, I'd already heard it once because he hadn't made it there yet, and I loved it. But I'm trying to, like, again, all about visualization for me. Like, I'm a very visual guy, so I have to like picture it, and I'm trying to picture it. And like he's playing it now, and Dave's in there, and Tony's just jamming the fuck out, dude. And it's like, okay, like everybody's gonna be doing this, so like just let's everybody just feel like Tony feels right now. Let's go and look at it. It's just been. And then if
just one more minute, and then we'll. I know you guys.
We're good on time. We have time. I'm gonna. These guys
I'm
will
flying out
5
hours. but I want to go off something Tony said about Punk being here and helping us out and helping us. So I've been very open about my mental struggles and my anxiety. Man, I went through a really tough time with anxiety just last year, almost to the day right now last year. And it almost completely broke me. And then on top of that,
when we went back on the road, you were having a tough time.
Tough time. Like I've never ever been that vulnerable, and that scared my entire life. And as a 37-year-old Southern male, that doesn't happen, and it did happen. And then on top of that, and on top of that, I almost watched my best friend bleed out, from his injury. And so those two things combined, we just knew, like you said, we had to have fun. But with Punk being here, I don't care what anyone says, and I don't care if you say he's a WWE guy or we're deviating away from AEW because he's here. He is here to make AEW better, and he's here to make us better. He has helped me through my anxiety, man, and that shows you the human being he is, because he'll take time for me to say, hey, come with me, let's have some coffee, or let's watch some wrestling, and he'll talk me through this stuff. And I've come out on, thank God, I've come out on the other side of anxiety, and I owe a lot of it. I owe a lot of it to both these guys. This man gave me time off if I needed it. This man talked to me every single day and almost fought people for me. But also on top of that, Punk is a great human being and a great addition to our roster, so we're lucky to have him. Sorry.
Here's the last question for FTR, and then we'll wrap up for a few questions between me and FTR. Thanks.
Hey guys, JD from the Office Script Podcast. I want to ask you guys about the Owen Hart match that you guys had, the Owen Foundation match. The preparation, what was the preparation for that match? How many Brett and Owen matches did you guys actually watch? And how did you decide on what you wanted to do as far as the sequences in that match? And Dax, this question is for you. A lot of online chatter about you possibly being Wrestler of the Year the way you worked this year. How do you feel about
He is Wrestler of the Year.
I agree.
So I understand what you're getting to as far as the Brett and Owen matches. And I saw a couple of people tweet about it saying, "Oh man, they did a rehash." No, I have done a rehash for the last 18 years of my career of Bret Hart. You know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't that we tried to, because I saw the tweet and it was like
7 different matches.
It was literally 6 or 7 matches of Bret Hart, and then they were like, "Oh, watch this and this." I took a front turnbuckle, and they were like, "Oh, that was just like the Owen and Bret match."
Bret took a German suplex before.
Oh yeah, he took a German suplex. No, it wasn't. I just love wrestling. God damn, I love. Sorry for saying GD. I love wrestling. I love it, and I watch it every single day. There's not a day that goes by I don't watch wrestling. So yeah, if I accidentally, subconsciously steal something from the match, man, my bad. I apologize for being a wrestling fan above everything else. That's my fault, okay? Not anybody else's fault. But I didn't. The one thing we stole, I guess, from the Bret Owen match was the victory roll, because people thought that was going to be the finish, and we wanted to trick you guys. That's it. Other than that, we just wanted to work. We didn't call anything. We went out there and we freaking worked, and we reacted off of each other. And that's what the beauty of professional wrestling is emotion and reaction and physicality and storytelling. And that's what we did. You know what I'm saying? I didn't sit down and watch one match and say, okay, we got to do this while doing my little deal. I'm sorry, but so I'm doing my little deal. Oh no, I just love wrestling, and I know what makes people feel. And that's all we wanted to do was make him feel. As far as being Wrestler of the Year, that's pretty freaking cool. It would be really, really crazy if somehow at the end of 2022, I became Wrestler of the Year. We became Tag Team of the Year, and we had Match of the Year with either Briscoes or Bucks. That would be pretty. Or whoever's coming up in the next 6 months. So yeah, that would be pretty cool. But sorry to take that.
Anybody in wrestling worth their salt in the business that has studied it and wanted to be this for a long time and didn't just come from anywhere else to get paid, like they're influenced by somebody. You know, yes, we're influenced by the Harts, we're influenced by Eddie, we're influenced by the Midnights, we're influenced by Arnatoli. We take bits from everybody. Everybody in wrestling today that's successful at a certain level is probably borrowed from somebody or been influenced by somebody, and you see that reflected in their work. Like, one or two things, yes, purposely taken from WrestleMania 10. Everything else just happenstance because these guys have helped shape our careers and our lives, and everything that we've done has been around professional wrestling and professional wrestlers. And those guys are professional wrestlers. Like everybody else, like I can take anything from a sports entertainer, I take anything from an actor, this or that. But when it comes to the actual in-ring aspect of it, I'm gonna model myself after the absolute best people that's ever done this because I want to be up there in that echelon. So like, for our match, there wasn't any different preparation. There wasn't any different tape studying. It was just, okay, what's the story we want to tell? How do we do this to pay our ultimate respect to Owen? How do we just go out there and have this match without compromising what FTR is? And I think that was the only goal we had.
And one more minute, and then I'll let you guys. Keep it rolling. We also wanted this match. We wanted this match. When people thought of the Owen Hart tournament, we wanted them to think, oh yeah, that's the catch. That's what we wanted. Also, you know, to go on the point of the studying the tapes and stuff, you got to understand, a lot of guys who were incredible wrestlers made a lot of money from the end of the 90s up until right now. So there's a gap where we missed out, not just us, but like our generation of wrestlers missed out on the legends of wrestling. Think about this. Ole Anderson wrestled for 20 years, 20, 25 years, 30 years. And Eddie Graham, the same thing, but then he went to booking because they needed to make money for years. So they got to work with all these different generations of guys. Our generation didn't get that. So we didn't get rest in peace, not anything, but like the Eddie Guerreros, we didn't get to work with him. And Steve Austin's and Rocks and stuff, we didn't get to work with them because they made so much money, so they were able to get out. The only way that we can learn now is by studying, because we can't work with them. I can't work with them and lock up with Steve Austin and say, okay, slow down, kid. I can't. So I have to watch and study him and say, okay, why does he slow down? Why do they do this? Why does Bret Hart take a headline, take over here, and they sit here for a second? Or why does Bret Hart sell? Why does, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we have to learn. Our generation has to learn. So if we accidentally take something from a match you see, our bad. But that's why that's how we learn. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Anybody would help carry all this?
I got it.
Far more mature than the other NJPW champion was. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Thank you guys.
Okay. We've got about 15 or 20 minutes here for Tony. Let's try to get as many questions as possible. Make your questions as short and concise so Tony can answer them.
So I can do a full 15, 20 minutes, Jim. This is highly unusual. We've never done it. I feel like Larry Sanders on his 8th anniversary special. I've never done this before. John, give me a non-alcoholic beer. Do you guys mind if I wait? We can run a little less than real quick and come right back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, awesome. Directly.
Just the way you get it.
This still always blows my mind.
Yeah, why are you so far?
Okay. You know, like, it's not safe either. I mean, you also want to get it. I'm gonna go.
Hey, thanks for waiting.
Hey, welcome back.
Okay, we're gonna start here. 20 minutes here with Tony. Start here with Nick.
There's your 8th anniversary. Those for you, RJ City. RJ City watching Toronto. Hey, you up?
No,
okay.
first. I was. Are you? Okay. Hey, welcome back. Hey, thanks. All right, so now Jon Chambers, Big O Will Media. So you own AEW, you own ROH. Wondering, you mentioned Forbidden Door 2, or maybe an All In 2. Where are you going with either one of those, possibly?
Did I mention an All In 2?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, now with the acquisition of the ROH library and the ROH promotion, that is video footage that is now a trademark of ours. So it's definitely something that I am open to in the future. The biggest event in AEW history is All Out. I think there's I will get into that. I can get into that. Raph, I don't know if you want to. We've said September 4th.
September 4th. We'll have an announcement after July 4th.
We just got into Grand Slam. I think announcing Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe tonight. September 21st, Raph?
September 21st, Wednesday, December 21st. Tickets go on sale July 22nd.
Yep, and I just made the announcement at the start of the press conference about Ring of Honor, since you asked so nicely. July 23rd, we come back, Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And very excited about that. That'll be great for Death Before Dishonor. I'm very excited. And you just saw the champs here. We'll see. They'll probably defend the titles between now and then, I'd imagine. And we'll see where they're at coming into there. And a lot of other great champions in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta is actually defending the title on AEW Dark on Tuesday night. Leading into Blood and Guts. It's a bold move going into Blood and Guts, so it's going to be Wheeler Yuta against Tony Nese, who had a Pure Rules match last week. That's going to be a great match, I think, on Tuesday night. Really excited about Wednesday night Blood and Guts. I think for Ring of Honor, a lot of great wrestlers in AEW with great backgrounds in Ring of Honor we've seen. There's a lot of great opportunities, but I'm really excited to bring that promotion back with Death Before Dishonor, and we'll see where that takes us.
That'll be at the UMass School Soccer Center, and I'll go until July 8th. So that's Saturday, July 23rd.
Got a question over here. Couple seconds. Hi, Tony. Nick Hausman, Wrestling Inc. How you doing?
Good, Nick. Thank you very much. I'm doing well. Thanks. It's great to be great. It's a hometown show for us.
I know, right? It's wonderful. I'm going to be home in 20 minutes. My question was about somebody the fans are still talking about that we haven't seen on AEW TV since his bombshell promo. That's MJF. Is MJF still with AEW? Like, what is his status with the company right now?
I am, especially after the great show we did. I'm not going to comment on it, but it's a fair question to ask. But I'm not going to cover that one right now. Thanks, Nick. Do you have another question you want to ask?
Yeah, I would actually. If I
Sure.
could.
No, I didn't want you to waste up your question.
Let's get let's
Let me. Do you have a follow up, Nick?
I wonder if I.
Sure, it's okay. What is it?
I need a microphone.
Sorry.
I know.
Thanks.
The other thing is, I wanted to bring a little bit of the real world into this right now. Another non-Forbidden Door question, but obviously on Friday there was a big Supreme Court ruling. A big topic of conversation is if employers are going to be paying for women under their employee to be going across state lines to get abortions if the situation does arise. Is that something that you would be willing to do for female members of the roster or people that are under your employee?
Hasn't come up. I don't know. It's just that situation hasn't come up, and honestly, that since last Friday we've been working on Forbidden Door almost nonstop. So that situation has never come up. So I can't say. But sorry not to answer either of your questions.
Thanks, Tony. It seems like you've got a ready-made feud between Moxley and CM Punk when he returns from injury. Was there any temptation to use CM Punk tonight to push that feud forward?
Well, I think it made a lot of sense with his just coming off surgery very recently for him at home recovering. I thought it would be good for him to have a chance at home to recover. I didn't think it would make sense for him to come out and get physically involved in anything coming just off surgery. So that's really my call. I think it doesn't make any sense for CM Punk to come in here injured on just a couple weeks off an important surgery. It's important for the whole company. Absolutely, we had something down the line now with a potential interim title match. Mox is going to defend the interim championship between now and then. So it certainly as it stands right now, it would be CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the undisputed AEW championship in a unification match. Chris, I know you know very well as somebody who covers for his own boxing and mixed martial arts and fighting, the idea of the interim championship and what it means. But obviously, when there's a champion who's had surgery, it means potentially some time off. I think it makes a lot of sense with us having a weekly television show to have a great interim champion defend the title between now and then. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Punk versus Moxley, but I do think we know that Moxley is the interim champion, the first ever interim AEW World Champion, and presents a very interesting matchup possibility down the line. But I also think there's a lot of really exciting matchups for Moxley as the interim World Champion on Dynamite and Rampage and potentially other places. So I'm really excited for Jon as the interim World Champion, and it feels like it was a long time ago because we've had a lot of people come through that not so forbidden door today. I did speak to you all, but when Jon was up here, it was cool sitting up here with him, and it means a lot to me and I think a lot of other people that he's back and to see him like this. It's awesome from where we were when I was in front of a lot of you before. Thank you for coming over.
Got a question over here, Tony.
Hi, AJ.
First off, great show tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
And my question is going to be about Ring of Honor, and has there been any plans backstage to start a weekly show for Ring of Honor?
That is one of the most relevant, best questions. There's been a lot of conversations about it, but it takes two to tango, so as they say. So that I would love to provide that and present that content. I think it's right now we've got this great new management team at Warner Brothers Discovery, and they are really, really strong management, and they're great. And I've had really good interactions and meetings with them, and I think there's a lot of projects at AEW they're very excited about, and I have been talking to them about that, and also had conversations about now Ring of Honor TV with the new bosses of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the largest creator of content in the world. And it's really exciting to have that as our media partner. And in the pro wrestling space, with Ring of Honor now, I was really very eager to keep some of the momentum we built with Death Before Dishonor coming now, some of the momentum we built with Supercard of Honor, because it was one of the most successful Ring of Honor pay-per-views ever, certainly the most successful in several years. And it would be probably on the top 3 Ring of Honor events in terms of generating revenue in 20 years, over 20 years now, Ring of Honor. And so I wanted to keep that momentum going. We really have something. So even though we aren't ready to launch the weekly TV show by July 23rd, on July 23rd, we are going to come back on pay-per-view with Death Before Dishonor. I'm really excited about the card. And we have great champions in Ring of Honor now. There's interesting things coming out of Supercard of Honor and things that have happened on AEW TV since Supercard of Honor, and whether it was Dynamite or Rampage, and also Battle of the Belts, where the Ring of Honor World title was defended. We've seen the world champion Jonathan Gresham. He defended it there against Dalton Castle, and then he was on Rampage this week. the Pure champion Wheeler Yuta was on the show tonight and will be in Blood and Guts, and also he's going to defend the title against Tony Nese between now and then. And we've got, of course, Mercedes Martinez. We've seen her also teaming with Serena Deeb, which is kind of interesting lately. And a number of other Ring of Honor stars. We saw Tully Blanchard bring his group in. Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal have a long-standing rivalry, which is pretty interesting because Samoa Joe is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, and Jay Lethal's the longest reigning Ring of Honor World Television Champion ever. And that's a rivalry that goes back to our first Ring of Honor show. So there's a lot of cool things that have been happening in Ring of Honor and will happen in Ring of Honor. I'm really hopeful and optimistic that we are going to get weekly TV back, like you asked. But the next step is definitely July 23rd for Ring of Honor on Death Before Dishonor. Thanks. Hey.
Nick Stillwell, USA Today Wrestling Company. You mentioned earlier in the week that you've at least pondered the idea of a two-night show because of all the talent that you have on the roster. And also, I think fans like the fantasy stadium show for you guys, like a football stadium with a really large venue. Now that you've successfully pulled off Forbidden Door once, do you feel like this could be the event that can go in one of those directions, like a two-night show? Could it be bigger?
I think there's always possibilities for growth, and that's one of the really great things about our business has been the year-over-year pay-per-view growth. Every franchise we've ever had has grown year-over-year. So Double or Nothing, All Out, Revolution, and Full Gear, all of them have had year-over-year growth, and we've done 4 Double or Nothing now and 3 of All Out, Full Gear, and Revolution. All of them have gone year-over-year. And so now with our kind of baseline we've set for this, I hope we can continue that trend also with a partnership with New Japan and have Forbidden Door go up year after year, and that would be great for us. People always ask me what my 5-year plan is, and I'm really happy. I think if we can give the wrestling fans Dynamite, Rampage, and keep strong TV to the fans, and then obviously with Ring of Honor, I was just talking about that, and there's opportunities there for us. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a huge show now, but success would be growing year over year. And in terms of live attendance, this was a great live attendance. I mean, it's hard to beat this, but also growing the pay-per-view business year over year, expanding. We're in 130 countries, AEW now around the world. New Japan is in a lot of the same countries. We actually present our TV and streaming in New Japan through New Japan World. And I think just growing this business year over year would be a big success, just like we've had with other pay-per-view franchises. Thank you.
Hi, Tony. Pascal Crowd from Montreal TV Sports. Just wanted to see if you have any update on Adam Cole and what happened at the end of the match.
Yeah, I think Adam Cole will be okay, and I think he was in the match, and it was a very physical wrestling match, and he was pinned in the match, and the timing of it wasn't. It may not have looked when people expected it to happen, but that's when it happened, and he's going to be okay long term. But it was probably if he couldn't continue wrestling, it made sense for that to, go. I think if you can't keep fighting, there's discretion is a better part of valor. So that I think long term it would be okay. Thanks.
Tony, I know that a great match tonight. I know coming into the match that Tony had a lot of build around her time starting. Was there any interest in bringing anybody from Stardom or TJP for the show?
Yes, I was interested in that, and there was, to be honest, the people from Stardom. I was interested in using Stardom. They have obviously a close relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling being aligned, and all the wrestlers from Stardom were pretty much booked, and they didn't have visas. So it was a big obstacle, and I think there is definitely potential there. Certainly, Tony is one of the hottest rising stars in AEW since she arrived in AEW, and I thought it made great sense. She's been a champion in Japan. She's got great experience in Stardom, and also somebody who's been on our TV. And it was a great match we could build to. And it was not a blood rivalry where they hate each other, but it was for mutual respect, and it was fought. Fittingly enough, you just asked me about Ring of Honor, fought with honor. And it was a great wrestling match, and I think that was cool, and it made it different from some of the other blood feuds on the card, where it was, where you see Jericho and Eddie that want to rip each other's head off, or where you had Mox and Tana, where it had been building for years and years, where it was clearly going to be the two of them someday on a big stage. This is different, but it was a rivalry out of respect. And so I thought Tony was a perfect choice, given who was on our TV, who was pushed, and also knowing that, while it would have been another challenge in addition to many other challenges to take people from Stardom and get them over on our TV, I think it was possible to do it, absolutely. But the availability is the greatest ability of all in this business and most businesses, and in this case there was no availability. So Tony was, for many reasons, I thought a great choice, and I thought Tony and Rosa had a great match. Thank you. Thank you. Here.
Hey, Tony, Rich Fan, you're at the Torch. Quick question. On Friday, and then even you started Friday with a press conference from, and it ended tonight with negative when we talk about the idea of trust and what happens when people lose trust, gain trust, things like that. Sean mentioned the ESPN article. These guys tonight, the talent, mentioned how much you trust them to do things either in the ring or outside. How do they build that with you and then actually build your roster? How do folks still stay accessible to you and you not go crazy?
Well, it's a great question. I think for people who are really experienced in wrestling, Claudio, we never worked together before tonight, but with Claudio, based on his reputation and coming in, he's not somebody you necessarily need to put through any kind of developmental. And we've used AEW Dark for people we don't know that well. JJ's in the back. JJ's been seeing dozens and dozens of hours of AEW Dark live in Orlando, and there's other people here I know that have come. Occasionally the tapings in Orlando, but before that, for over a year, we operated out of Daly's place, and that operated really as a true developmental system. And there's a lot of people, like including the Acclaimed, who were singles wrestlers. Pat Buck trained them, and Pat Buck was working in WWE at the time, and he actually tried to get them to go up there. And I really wanted them to both stay, and it kind of forced my hand when they were threatening to go, and I was like, I like them both. I really need to do something to keep them. I had the idea of the Acclaimed for a long time. I saw Max rapping on Twitter. They were very capable on Dark. And then they got, if you remember, their first match was against Trent and Chuck, and it was like a tryout match with the new gimmick. The music was a little different. It was loud. It didn't quite, but it was enough. I saw enough there. I was like, okay, we're gonna do. And then they went on probably like a 10-match winning streak after that. I think winning matches on Dark, building up to build a record and building experience. And that was there. And the entrance got better and better. Max, it really only I think I only seen the rapping on Twitter. And on social media, I've never seen him do his entrance. So that was a new thing we put in. The idea of them as a team, even though they trained together. And so that's a really good example. Red Velvet is somebody who came in and was working on AEW Dark and has come in and become a really important part of our TV. Like the story of my June. Also somebody who got injured and has been a huge part of the TV recently. He's been out with an injury, which is unfortunate. That match he had with Chris, which was a great match on Rampage, Statlander and Red Velvet. We had a lot of great matches, and then unfortunately had injured people coming out of them, which is sometimes the price people pay with these great, hard-hitting matches. And the Red Velvet's another example, like Max Caster and Anthony Bowen, both separately and then put together as a tag team, maturing on that stage. Powerhouse Hobbs, first he was Will Hobbs, and look how far he's come from when he started on AEW Dark, not as a person who was out there winning matches, and a person who grew as a wrestler and has grown as a person and presence here in the company. A number of other people. So this for people we don't know as well, someone's going through Dark, -1, little Brody, through working on Dark, and he's done a lot of fun stuff. He's had fun matches down there. JJ's laughing in the back because he's seen some of the funniest stuff he's seen in his life with little Brody, and the kid's he was 10 years old and he's making hundreds of people, not 15,000, but hundreds of people laugh in his studio. That's pretty good for 10 years old. And so he earned my trust enough where I gave him a mic and put him out there with some of his friends and some of his dad's close friends like Mox and Claudio, and Eddie wasn't out there at that point, but Eddie would be another person on that list. And it was just a nice thing for the crowd, and I wanted to get him out there, and I thought it was cool. And I thought, because of Mox, I remember Mox's first pay-per-view defense of the title when he first won. The title was against Brody Senior, so I just thought of it. And that was probably the last time I met as proud of a show that had as many challenges. It had the most challenges of any show ever. I could talk for an hour just about the 3-week build and putting that together during those tape shows, and also learning how to edit shows because we never taped Dynamites before that. So that probably April 2020 was, and into May 2020 was probably the last time I felt this way, where it really came together and where it could have not gone as well. So yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Thanks, man.
Got time for 2 more questions. There's one.
Tony, I want to talk about Orange Cassidy tonight. Match of the year potentially with Will Ospreay. I'm a big Orange Cassidy guy. What was your reaction when the match was over? Match of the night to me. And reportedly, Orange Cassidy was supposed to get new theme music. I read somewhere today. We didn't hear that tonight. It's a huge part of the wrestler's package. Is that something that you decide on specifically, or is it something that you work with?
Yeah, I decide on the music, but that is this when I presented this song to him. So I pick a lot of the music and work with Mikey on who's gonna have what songs. I license music from outside sometimes, and generally I'm in charge of the music. With Mikey, who oversees it, does an amazing job, and has composed some amazing themes. But I work hand in hand with him on that stuff. Just like we talked about when I had a concept for the FTR theme, and they were in here, or Samoa Joe's, or even Adam Cole. And Mikey's composed all these great themes. We have a good partnership going. And in this case, that's music that Orange Cassidy had used, the theme that is being rumored on the internet for a long time. It's also why, unfortunately, like I love the people backstage, and like you know what's cool? There were like, I was just talking about Brody. I didn't mean to keep going with it, but there were like 100 people sitting in stands at Daly's place when Amanda told us Brody was sick. I know there's a lot of new people here since then. There were a lot of people here, and a lot of them are the same people, even though there's a lot of new faces, and nobody said a word. So when it's something life or death, you can trust the people backstage. But I've learned that like around like a lot of stuff is leaked. Like it's like really shameful, and like people shouldn't be doing it. And that's one of those ones where it like screwed up what would have been maybe a pop, but also it should still be a huge pop. I mean, these things are organic, so you can't make that not. It's going to be a huge pop if it happens. But like the fact that like it even came up is dumb. And like I said to Sean, which is like I was like, okay, I mean, if you're going to report it, I was surprised to read it because I was like, I wonder why somebody leaked that, because like all it does is screw up with a fun surprise for the fans. But it's like I told Sean, I was like, we don't even have 100. I have, as I understand it, 97.5% of the rights. In this case, that's zero. I mean, like I might as well have zero. Like we're real close. I've been told by the 2.5% right holder that they're going to get back to us, and it seems like it'll probably happen. But like the fact that I'm even having to explain this, I think is ridiculous, and it's because somebody in the back like shouldn't have said what they said, and then I was surprised. I like Sean, but I was surprised to see that, and I told him, and I was like, because it's not true, and I never even got a chance to refute it, and like I know Orange said he was going to have something new, but technically that's not even something new. I think he meant the belt. So like, which he came damn close to him, and like I said, to the announcers, and they did a great job integrating. Orange Cassidy is one of our best, most marketable stars. He's whether people of all ages love him, and on digital, when you look at AEW most watched digital videos on the YouTube channel, like probably 6 or 7 out of the top 10 follow him. And he's also a really awesome person. So if it does happen, if we do get that 100%, I'll be really happy because that's something he brought to the table before he was here. There's been he's the AEW version of Orange Cassidy has really risen to prominence, and he was already a beloved independent star, but I think his presentation and what he's become here is very different. And I think people respect and understand he really is a great pro wrestler and under the gimmicks. And now I really believe that tonight he would tear the house down in Chicago like he did with Pac in his very first singles match, which we spent over 6 months. I guess not quite 6 months. We were over 5 months of TV, 5 months of TV building to that, plus the pay-per-views before that. So over 6 months really building up Orange Cassidy since All Out. Then he never worked a singles match, so he had that match with Pac and they tore the house down. Also, unrelated, what a night for Pac, right? Like awesome for those two. And back in Chicago, I thought they both had, even though Pac won the title and Orange didn't, they had one of the best matches in the history of the company in Revolution 2020, and I was so happy. So you asked me about my reaction tonight, it was very similar to that. But now people aren't surprised because in Revolution 2020, people were like, they knew, I think people were interested in the match, and it was like there was a lot of interest in the match, but I don't think people had the expectations yet of what he does. Now there's big expectations on his matches, and it delivered. And no surprise to me, I believe in him so much. I'm just really grateful he's back. It's a good timing for us to get him back. So thanks for asking me.
Last question on your list on row.
I get the honor of going last. All right. So you talking about Claudio earlier mentioned that when you talked to Brian, you revealed to him that Claudio was already under contract. So that says to me that you already had kind of creative plans for Claudio that maybe got, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but that maybe got sidetracked a little bit.
Well, I did. I had 2 plans, and what I was saying was I called him the day after Punk got hurt, and Brian was optimistic that he would be back, but I wasn't 100% sure. So there were a couple ways this could have gone, but certainly the idea that he might be at Forbidden Door definitely crossed. It came up, but I think we were all hoping Brian was going to be here.
So I guess going more forward with my question, and talking about some of the challenges you encountered with Forbidden Door, with Punk getting hurt, with Brian getting hurt, and just a lot of the creative changes that have had to take place. My question is more so about your overall booking philosophy and how much things may have changed over the last really year for you. And that one of the things that AEW was really known for at the beginning was kind of long-term booking, and that's something that was very much admitted. Whereas these days, you almost circumstantially can't do a lot of that, and there's been a lot of we get more announcements of matches like the day of Dynamite, for example, that we didn't get back in the early days. We used to end the Dynamite kind of knowing every match that was going into the following week. Do you feel like your booking philosophy has had to change a lot in the last year or so with things that have gone on, and how do you feel you can sustain that going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and I think it changed a lot when we went back on tour. Partially, one of the reasons that you used to know everything going in was because we would tape it the next day. So that wasn't like we were at one. I think to most of the people who'd be watching this, people might have had an idea. But during the pandemic, when we were in Daly's place, it was live on Wednesday, and then we were taped on Thursday. So it was a very different cadence and style. And then also Thursday, like I would have had 12 days to put everything together by the time the next show. So it was different, and it was really great. But what happened was the roster grew a lot in that time. We went back on the road. We continued to expand, and basically when we went back on the road, that's when I knew as soon as the fans were back, I'd been sitting on this opportunity that really CM Punk wanted to come back to wrestling and wrestle for AEW when the fans came back. It was just a matter of when we go back on the road. And then once that happened, he and I got really serious. And then all of a sudden, Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole were up, and that led to All Out 2021. It's crazy that at the end of the summer, it will be a year since that, but it's right now is a year that we've been back on the road this week. Blood and Guts represents about a year back on the road, almost exactly. And it's been challenging with all the injuries, but I still look to long-term solutions, long-term ideas, long-term thoughts. And if you look like Moxley and Tanahashi, even though it wasn't the original plan for the show, that's a long-term story that had been going for years. And I was thinking long-term. When I didn't want to do Mox and Tanahashi last summer, it was looking ahead because I realized there was probably a bigger platform than the show where it was proposed to happen in the parking lot of USC's football stadium. And so I thought there's a better place for this, and I'm going to be involved with AEW if that's going to happen, Mox and Tana. And that was, it came close. The winner of Archer and Moxley was going to defend against Tanahashi, and Lance Archer pulled out his biggest win ever in the Texas Death Match at Fyter Fest in Texas, and so I was saved by the bell. But I think that it was, like John said, it was for a reason. Like we held it back for a reason, and it all came together. And just like with Claudio, and he was a perfect guy at the perfect time, and he was somehow available. And like, what are the odds of that? Because when we started this company, look at it. Imagine dealing with the people who are just injured right now. Like, look at the people when we started this company who were out. Not just here, but I mean, like, Kenny and Cody are both out. Imagine how we would have sustained that at the beginning. Like, Kenny and Cody being out. Like, we would have been screwed. And, like, now you had, look at who's not at this pay-per-view with the list of stars, and we still were able to do, even with, you could headline any pay-per-view ever with a list of people that were out on this pay-per-view. And the roster's so deep compared to where we started that we were able to sustain it. And it's a credit to all those people from, the list of people who are injured in pro wrestling right now, not just here, but like I mentioned, across, other companies with Ishii and Hiromu not being able to come here, and even WWE's got big stars, like I mentioned, who were out injured. And AEW's got the most prominent injured list probably in pro wrestling, but we've still got such a deep roster that they came together, and tonight's one of the best nights we've ever had. So long-term thinking, a lot of this has been long-term thinking, but it's like, you know, moving from piece to piece. I kind of alluded to it on the media call, that originally Punk, I didn't even allude to it, I just told you guys, Punk was going to be in the trios, man. It would have been Punk and FTR, right? Against Ospreay in the United Empire. It would have been totally different. Tanahashi wouldn't have been with Moxley. He wouldn't have been with the Blood and Guts people. He would have been with CM Punk if they'd wrestled, right? So I said on the media call, so imagine that. So, and then think about that like there would have been international Tanahashi and Ospreay probably, right? I would have done other stuff too. I had all kinds of stuff that we weren't able to do. That being said, it's long-term booking when you have Mox and Tana. It's something that you know, not just like for a special day. You're not saving it for a rain day. You're saving it for like a very special day when you need something very special. And this was that special day, Mox and Tana. They were the man of the moment. Claudio was a man of the moment. And so it fit in with our long-term plans, like this Blood and Guts we've been building to for so long. I mean, Chris and Eddie is a feud that goes back to the beginning of the year, before Joey broke Eddie's face, and shut the feud down. And like so,
that was the end of last year.
That was in January, and early January, and then Eddie couldn't fly or travel or come to the shows, and so it was. This goes back to like last year. And Chris and Eddie have been at each other's throats for a long time, and they both changed. John's changed, so we're in a different place now. It's a really good question, but I think going back to live television, a lot of a new roster coming in, and then those people getting injured changed a lot of things. And I'll leave you with one last thought that's it's just full circle, but it's like interesting stuff. It's all stuff I would have said to you guys, and I said to you, look at where we've come this year. You remember when Kenny first got hurt, and when Chris was out with the blood clot, and John went into treatment, and the company was completely different. And we had just brought in CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole, all as free agents. And I was saying at the end of the year, if anybody would listen, thank God I had these three guys, because they were, along with the CM Punk and MJF, the Bryan Danielson and Hangman, and the Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy, and the peripheral stuff around it was carrying the TV week to week. Those three guys were in the three programs that carried the company through that time. And the outlook, and all three have had injuries and been out. Cole came back tonight. Hopefully he's going to be able to come back soon from that. But he had been out, and this is his first match in a long time. And then Danielson and Punk have been out, and Mox came back better than ever. Chris came back, and we've had new faces come in and join the company that made it, including now Claudio. And so I just think it's pretty cool how full circle it came, because Chris and John were out. They've come back. They both look totally different. They've both done this transformation. And then the people who came and helped fill that void, now they need the time. Now they're beat up. And now these guys have stepped back in, the first two champions. I just think it's really cool. I think so. You talk about, again, long-term, full circle, being back here in Chicago, having John and Chris at each other's throats again. It's long-term too. And I just thought it was really cool. So it all came together, even if it wasn't the original plan for tonight. Everything tonight had been coming. So it was awesome. Thanks for all being here. People traveled a long way to be here, a lot of you. And people from overseas, people from the West Coast and all over the world. And AJ, I kept you up late once again, and you got a lot of locker room talk, but by now you're probably used to it. All this was even for you. This is pretty extreme. I'm sorry. Thank you everybody for being here, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Hey, you're the man. I wanted to give you a good one.